Hello and welcome to the Cardinal News of Virginia, a podcast from Cardinal News. We're a nonprofit independent newsroom serving Southwest and Southside Virginia at cardinalnews.org. I'm Lisa Rowan, filling in for Dutchy Jesse. The Cardinal podcast is sponsored by Muneris, serving communities with expert group benefits and Medicare solutions. Today, we are joined by Susan Cameron, a Cardinal reporter who is based in Bristol and covers communities in far Southwest Virginia. Susan, welcome back to the show.
Thank you, Lisa.
We are here to talk about a recent article of yours. It's titled, "A Year After Southwest Virginia Was Devastated by Flooding and Wind, Local Officials Are Applying the Lessons They Learned from Helene to Prepare for the Next Disaster." The anniversary of Hurricane Helene was in late September, but our focus today is how localities are preparing for future natural disasters. You covered the damage from Hurricane Helene extensively over the whole past year. Walk us briefly through the impact of that storm on Southwest Virginia.
So it was September the 27th, and the area had, for almost a week, we had steady rain. Every day, pretty steady rain. So we were already saturated. And then Helene hit on the 26th. It hit the Gulf Coast and moved inland. And when it got to Southwest Virginia, the rain just sort of hung over some of the counties and towns. And particularly hard hit was the town of Damascus and the communities that surround it. There were 4 to 8 inches of rain, additional inches of rain that day. And so they have 2 creeks that run through town, and they poured over the banks and it went right through Damascus. All the businesses, homes, everything devastated. Bridges were destroyed. Several bridges were destroyed in the area, and almost a mile of US 58 was destroyed. Half of the Virginia Creeper Trail, which is the lifeblood for Damascus, a lot of people, their livelihood is tied to it. Half the Creeper Trail was destroyed. But we also had counties that were impacted by severe winds. Trees were tested about 90 mile per hour winds in some of the mountainous counties, and it was devastating for them. A lot of them had no power for over a week, almost 2 weeks. So we were hard hit, and nobody expects a hurricane to have that kind of effect 600 miles inland.
Right. When you think 90-mile-an-hour winds, you think of the Florida coast or the coast of the Carolinas, or where a hurricane is making landfall. You do not think of, rural Virginia and North Carolina.
And we've had hurricanes blow through here in the fall before, but and had some rain and wind, but nothing like this.
Right. And, you said when we were talking before we recorded is that this isn't a once-in-a-lifetime event. Southwest Virginia has had major flooding events, several of them since 2021. So are local governments paying more attention to the threats that natural disasters are posing in this region?
You bet they are. We have had 5 major flooding events since August of 2021. 3 of them hit Buchanan County. 2 of those storms hit one community, Hurley. And then we had Helene last September of 2024. And then in February, the weekend after Valentine's Day, we had severe flooding again. It was flash flooding, and that impacted several Southwest Virginia counties. And then in July, we had the small community of Dane in Russell County was hit by 7 inches of rain and just devastated. That's the most recent one we've had. But county officials, town officials, they fully expect to flood again and for it to be worse. They really believe that the floods are here to stay.
Let's talk about the ways these localities are investing in preparation for future emergencies. Power sources come to mind immediately. It sounds like communication has also been a big focus since Helene because power lines were knocked out, cell towers were knocked out during the storm. And there are some spots in this region that have never had cell reception in the first place. So when you think about widespread communication and power outages, that can be really serious for a community.
Yeah, there have been a lot of generators purchased. One county, Tazewell, not Tazewell, Russell County purchased more than 20 generators. Washington County has purchased 4, and they're going to purchase 4 more. So there's been a big boom in the purchase of generators because the counties were so disrupted by the power loss. They don't want to go through that again. They want to have some power in the county. And they also found out that it's not enough to have um, generators or communications in a small area or two. This storm was much more widespread than anyone had ever seen before. So they're spreading out their resources. But a lot of the generators are being placed in fire departments, high schools, and community centers, so people will have access to them. And other than that, they really found out that they need to be less reliant on cell phones. So the battery operated radios are being purchased, and they're also there's going to be some satellite um, like Starlink used.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, I remember I was covering right after the hurricane. I went to Sugar Grove, which for a
yeah,
long time just has never had cell reception, and they were using this church community center as sort of the hub of all the resources with generators. And 2 days after I was there, the governor rolled up with like a big Starlink satellite connection that they could use to get online. And I was like, well, I wish that had happened 2 days ago when I was here and I could have gotten that photo op.
yeah. The governor visited the area a number of times during the storms, and a lot of people credit him and the Virginia Department of Emergency Management for having the foresight to send swiftwater rescue teams in early. They came down the night before, so they were here when they were needed, and a lot of people say that lives were saved as a result of that because there were dozens of swiftwater rescues.
The importance of the swiftwater rescue teams, you mentioned, I think, in the article, is that it's flash flooding that often has no warning. So you said, before the hurricane, there was the foresight to sort of send teams to that area where flooding was predicted, but you don't always have that grace period.
Right. We most often we don't. It's a matter of minutes in some of these places. But they want to have the swiftwater teams because if they need it, they'll have it. But they also want to help. They want to have someone in place so they can go help some of these communities that came and helped here.
Yeah, yeah.
And it involves a lot of training. Swiftwater rescues are dangerous. They have to buy a lot of equipment. Um, Washington County is working with the Bristol team to set theirs up, and they expect to have theirs online by July.
Okay.
So, and then Russell County is just beginning to set theirs up.
So it's a process that'll take a little bit of time, but a lot of peace of mind down the road to have that available.
Yeah, they're trying as best they can to prepare in a number of ways.
Yeah. Let's go back and talk a little bit about Tazewell and Russell counties and the wind impact there, those high winds, 90 miles an hour. There was one spot you said had no power for 17 days. I can't even imagine.
I know. One day to me is, I can't hardly take it. But yeah, Tazewell and Russell County both they didn't have a lot of flooding at all. They just had these high winds, and all these trees that had never been tested by that level of wind, they fell. And there were trees down all over both counties, which meant that nobody could get anywhere. So they couldn't get to fix the power. And it was the water system was also electric and water system was down in Tazewell County. Russell County had the power outage, but they didn't have the water problems. But they were devastated by wind, and I don't think I've seen that before here either. We've had a lot of flooding, but I don't remember the trees being. And if you go out in some of these areas, trees are everywhere. If you go in the mountains, they're just down everywhere, and that debris is one of the reasons why they expect the flooding to continue is that the streams and waterways, rivers are full of debris. So the next time we have heavy rain, it takes that much less water to flood.
Because all those branches that have come off the trees or the erosion that's taken place from this wind has all flown into these
It takes
waterways.
right. It takes less water to flood the next time. The Tazewell County Administrator Eric Young was telling me that they're going to be working to they've got to apply for permits and such to get the debris out of the waterways, and he expects by the time they go through the process, it'll be 3 years, 4 years, 6 years, even maybe before they get approval. He expects to have 3 or 4 more flooding events before that happens.
Right.
So,
it just goes to show how long the recovery process is after this. You're cleaning up from one storm and trying to prepare for what might be coming ahead.
yeah, this area is resilient, but Helene was a tough storm.
Yeah.
It just affected every aspect of living.
Yeah. Let's talk briefly about how all of this preparation for future disasters is being funded. It sounds like a locality who's trying to beef up their preparation systems will try to find money anywhere they can.
Well, that's exactly right. These counties they don't have a lot of money lying around for extra things. So they are applying for everything that they can, federal, state, and grant money. Some of them have already received money. Some of them are just starting the process, but they're trying to find as much money as they can to do as much as they can to be better prepared.
For sure, for sure. Yeah, I one of the reasons that I wanted to talk about this story now, even though we're, getting into late October, is, I used to live in Florida and hurricane season goes through November 30th, which a lot of people don't think of. They think, oh, you get to the end of summer and it's over and it's safe, but the weather just keeps happening. And so I'm always trying to not make people afraid, but make them just aware that these things are happening. And there are places all around us in our communities in Southwest Virginia who are thinking about these things all the time, too. It's not just down in Florida on the coast.
Yeah, we
Susan,
know now.
Susan, how can people get in touch with you if they want to learn more about your work?
Well, they can call me 276-791-5928 or email me, Susan@cardinalnews.org.
Awesome. Susan, thanks for being here.
Thank you, Lisa.
And thank you for listening to the Cardinal News of Virginia. And thanks to our sponsor, Muneris, to Sean Eddy of Eddy Alexander for production support, and to Cardinal News' own Zach Shelton. Read all of our paywall-free local news coverage at cardinalnews.org. I'm Lisa Rowan. Take care now.